You know what's crazy? You can be lying next to someone every night, completely unaware that they stopped loving you a long time ago. Dear listeners, please subscribe my channel to hit 1,000 number. I thought we were fine. Or at least, I wanted to believe we were fine. Emma, my wife of 5 years, still smiled for photos, still kissed me goodnight, still sent those "love you babe" texts every morning. But something about it felt manufactured, like muscle memory, not love. The small things started to pile up. She didn't wait up for me anymore when I worked late. Our conversations at dinner turned from real talk to awkward silences, filled with the sound of silverware. And our intimacy. Let's just say, if silence could scream, the bedroom was yelling at full volume. But still, I didn't suspect anything major. I chalked it up to stress, to routine, to the wear and tear of modern married life. Until one day, I came home early, not for any dramatic reason, just a canceled meeting at work. I walked in through the garage so she didn't hear me. As I stepped into the hallway, I heard laughter echoing from the kitchen, my wife's voice and her mom's. They were sipping wine and laughing like high school girls. I was about to call out, "Hey, I'm home." But then I heard it. Emma said loud and proud, "He's a total joke in bed, like, I fake it just to get it over with." And her mom? She didn't flinch. She laughed hard and replied, "Sweetheart, men are dumb. Use him until he's dry." I froze, every word, every syllable. It hit like a punch to the chest. My heartbeat was in my ears. My throat went dry. I didn't even move. I just stood there, in my own house, listening to the two women laugh at the version of me I never thought existed in their eyes. And then she said it, the line that split my world in two. "He acts like I'm his property or something. I'm not. I'll do whatever the hell I want." That was the moment I broke. I didn't storm in. I didn't yell. I didn't flip a table or demand answers. I just turned around. There was no use confronting her. What would she say? That I misheard her? That it was just a joke? That I was being insecure? Number, I'd heard every single word. And something inside me snapped, but it wasn't rage. It was clarity. The kind that doesn't need yelling or drama. I went upstairs, quiet as a shadow. She didn't hear me. They were too busy laughing. I looked at our bedroom, or what used to be ours. The bed we picked out together. The photos on the wall. Her half-used perfume bottles. And then my side. The books on my nightstand, the shirts neatly hung in the closet, the socks I always forgot to pair up. I sat on the edge of the bed and let it all sink in. 5 years, countless memories, weekend trips, movie nights, arguments and apologies. All of it, now cheapened by a single conversation that felt more real than every "I love you" she ever said. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I stood up, opened the closet, and started packing. One suitcase. Essentials only. Then another. Documents, electronics, work stuff. I took what was mine, and I made sure not to leave a trace of myself behind. I wanted her to feel it, the emptiness, when she finally noticed. I even left my wedding ring in the nightstand drawer. Not out of sentiment, but to remind her this was her choice, not mine. That night, I checked into a hotel, just 5 miles away. I wanted to stay close, not because of hope, but because I wanted to see how long it would take her to realize I was gone. Turns out, it took her 2 whole weeks, 15 days. That's how long it took her to notice I was gone. You'd think a wife would notice sooner. An empty side of the bed, the missing toothbrush, a closet half full. But apparently, when you don't value someone, their absence feels a lot like their presence. Quiet, invisible, and easily ignored. During those 2 weeks, I didn't call, didn't text. I watched from a distance like a ghost haunting my own life. The hotel room I checked into was small, sterile, and quiet, but it was mine. I sat there every evening with takeout and a laptop, just processing. I kept replaying that conversation in my head, her laughing about my performance in bed, her mother enabling the disrespect. Every time I thought about it, my fists clenched unconsciously. But I didn't lash out. Instead, I observed. She posted nothing about me. No, where is he? No anniversary throwbacks, not even a passive-aggressive quote story. Her life, on the surface, continued as usual. She went to brunch with her friends. She posted selfies. She even went to a spa. It was like I didn't even exist. And that hurt more than the betrayal. It was the ease with which she carried on, like I was never part of the picture. Then, on day 15, my phone buzzed. It was a message from her. Just 5 words. "Honey, where are you?" I didn't respond. An hour later, a call came in. I watched the screen light up with her name. I stared at it until it stopped ringing. She called again, and again. The voicemail she left was frantic. "Where are you? Why is all your stuff gone? What is happening?" Now the panic had set in. She went from ignorant to confused to scared. That night, she sent 12 messages. Pictures of my empty drawers, my missing shoes, my side of the closet, barren. And just like that, the weight of my absence hit her like a freight train. She was alone, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. She had spent weeks mocking me behind my back. Now she was living in a silent house where every missing item screamed, "He left you. You pushed him away." But this was only the beginning. She didn't know yet that I'd taken more than just my belongings. It's funny how people only start valuing things once they're gone. That's exactly what Emma was doing. Finally, noticing the absence of someone she took for granted. But it wasn't just the physical stuff. It was the emotional load, the loyalty, the support. All the things I had given to her over the years, now stripped away, and she was left with nothing. 2 days passed since I'd received her desperate messages. At first, I considered answering her. A part of me wanted to confront her, tell her exactly how her cruel words had shattered me. I thought about sending a simple text just to hear her beg for forgiveness. But I quickly pushed that thought aside. This wasn't about getting back together. This was about closure. This was about letting her feel the weight of her actions. I had spent the last 2 weeks planning, carefully calculating what I would do next. She wouldn't just wake up one day and realize how much she missed me. No, I had something else in mind. Something that would make her realize just how much she'd lost. Something that would expose her selfishness and her complete disregard for the person who'd stood by her for years. I decided to take my revenge where it would hurt the most, in her own pride. I knew she couldn't resist showing off her new life. She loved the attention. Always had. Always posting about her nights out, her self-care sessions, the spa weekends, the brunches with friends. It was all for show. A front. So I waited until I knew she was home, scrolling through her phone, probably texting her friends about me, wondering what was happening, why I hadn't responded. I wasn't about to let her think she was winning this one. The next morning, I set my plan into motion. I reached out to her best friend, the one she was always gushing to about me. I had proof, pictures, screenshots, messages that I had kept hidden. My friend had been with me the whole time, observing and documenting Emma's actions. And now I was about to share it all. I sent a message to her friend. Simple. To the point. You know Emma's been cheating, right? I have everything. Proof, screenshots, texts, pictures. Let's see how she reacts when everyone finds out. Her friend was shocked, of course, but she didn't know it was coming. She had no idea that I had everything. Proof that Emma had been talking behind my back about how she didn't care about me. Proof of the affair with someone she worked with. A man I had trusted. Within hours, the news spread. I had made sure to reach out to everyone who mattered. Friends, family, even colleagues. She had no clue who I had told or what I had revealed. But by the time she got the news, it was too late. Her social media exploded. Texts flooded in. The calls started. Did you really think no one would notice? I knew something was up, but this. And then came the final blow. I don't even know who you are anymore, Emma. I can't believe you did this to me. Her world, her perfect little front, came crashing down. But the real devastation hit when her mother, who had been her biggest supporter, sent a message. You've lost everything, sweetie. You pushed him away. I told you this would happen. Emma had always been her mother's little princess. But her mom had turned on her. And that was when the tears started. But by then, it was already too late. The texts didn't stop. The calls didn't stop. Emma was panicking. Every time I looked at my phone, there was a new message from her, each one more desperate than the last. At first, it was simple. Please talk to me. Then it was, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. By day 3 of the flood, her tone shifted. What do you want? Why are you doing this to me? I'd been silent. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of hearing my voice. She had taken that away from me. She had made me feel like nothing. Now, she could stew in the silence she had created. But of course, the silence didn't last long. She showed up at my hotel. I wasn't surprised. Emma had always been the type to act when things didn't go her way, to demand attention when she felt like things were slipping through her fingers. And now, she was losing control. The facade she'd built of the perfect wife, the happy woman in control of her life, was gone. She knocked. Softly at first, then more forcefully. Come on, open the door. We need to talk. We need to fix this. I didn't open the door. I stood there, just out of her view, listening to her voice crack as she begged. The woman who once told me I was a joke was now reduced to pleading with me, hoping for some kind of reconciliation. But there was no way back. I texted her back finally, only one sentence. You're on your own now. For the first time, she went silent. But then, just a few minutes later, I got another message. If you really loved me, you wouldn't be doing this. You're ruining everything. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean what I said. The manipulation started to show. She wasn't sorry because she was ashamed of what she had done. She wasn't sorry because she had hurt me. No, she was sorry because her life, the life she had built on lies, was crumbling around her. She was sorry because she was losing control. But I wasn't playing that game anymore. I could feel the tension rising in her messages. Every word from her had a new level of desperation, and with each new plea, I felt stronger. This was the moment I had waited for. The moment I'd been preparing for. I knew she was about to escalate, and she did. I thought I'd feel some kind of satisfaction from this, watching her break down, seeing her world crumble as the truth came out. But honestly, there was something else bubbling inside me now, something that wasn't quite triumph, but more like relief. Relief that it was over. I had spent years chasing validation from Emma, trying to make her see me, trying to make her love me in the way that I deserved. But now, I saw the truth for what it was. She didn't deserve me. But that wasn't the same realization Emma was having. No, she was still in denial, still trying to patch the cracks in the life she had built on betrayal. It started with the phone calls, the constant ringing. I had blocked her number, so now she was leaving voicemail after voicemail. Please, please pick up. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just angry, but you never listened to me, and each voicemail was worse than the last, with a tone shifting from regret to anger to confusion. But as the days went on, the messages started to change, and I could hear her unraveling. "What do you want from me?" she begged in one voicemail, voice cracking. "Why are you doing this? You think you're some kind of victim? You were never there for me, never gave me what I needed. And now you're leaving me like this." It was all about her. The same selfishness that had led to her affair, to her cruelty, was now spilling out in a mess of half-hearted apologies and blame. In the midst of her emotional breakdown, she was still trying to play the victim. It hit me. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even sorry for the affair. She was sorry because she had been exposed, because she had lost control. By the end of the week, I had no choice but to cut her off completely. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to hear. But that wasn't the final act. The worst part was yet to come. It had been over 2 weeks since I'd completely cut her off, and yet Emma still hadn't given up. She wasn't letting go, even though everything had already unraveled. It was almost as if she believed if she kept pushing hard enough, she could undo the mess she had made, the betrayal, the disrespect, and the hurt she had caused. She had convinced herself that if she could just get me back, if she could just make everything normal again, everything would go back to how it was before. But that was the thing. Nothing would ever be the same. On the night she finally showed up at my hotel again, she wasn't the same person. She was a broken shell of the woman I had once loved, standing at the door, eyes red from crying, and clothes disheveled as if she hadn't slept in days. There was no more arrogance, no more pride. Just a trembling, desperate woman who wanted control over a life she'd already ruined. "Please, just talk to me," she pleaded. "We can fix this. We can fix everything. I know I made a mistake. I know what I did was wrong. But I swear I'll do anything, to make it right. Please, I love you." I stood there, silently. My heart didn't flutter. It didn't soften. Instead, I felt nothing but coldness. The person standing at that door was not the woman I had loved, the woman who once cared for me. She was a stranger to me now, a stranger whose words meant nothing. I didn't open the door. Instead, I sent her a text, short, final, and to the point. "It's too late." She stood there for a long time. I could hear her sobbing softly outside the door, her words mixed with pleading whispers of "I'm sorry" and "please don't do this." But I knew there was nothing left for us to fix. Then came the phone call I didn't expect. This time I answered. "What do you want?" I said flatly, not out of anger, but simply out of exhaustion. Exhaustion from hearing the same things over and over. Exhaustion from knowing that no matter how much she begged, no matter how many promises she made, nothing would change. And then came the twist, the final bombshell. She wasn't alone. I could hear someone else's voice in the background of her call, a man's voice. That same man, the one I'd suspected for so long, but never had proof of. The one who had been playing his part while I was left in the dark, holding on to a marriage that was already broken. Emma's voice wavered, but she tried to stay calm as she said, "I want you to know, I'm not sorry. Not for the affair, not for anything." I froze. That was it. The final straw. He's here with me right now. I don't need you anymore. I never did. Those words were a revelation, not just of her feelings, but of the reality I had been blind to. She had already moved on. She wasn't crying because she was sorry. She was crying because the truth had finally hit her. She was alone. She'd lost everything she thought she could take for granted. It was the last conversation we ever had, the final nail in the coffin. Her confession, the revelation of the affair, her complete lack of remorse. It was a reality I couldn't ignore any longer. And honestly, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel rage. What I felt was a profound, undeniable freedom. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Like I could breathe. It was like lifting a weight off my chest, a weight I had been carrying for far too long. She had held me prisoner with her lies, her manipulation, her selfishness. But now, as I stood there at the threshold of what used to be my life, I realized something I had been too blind to see before. I was free to rebuild, to walk away and never look back. I never responded to her final messages or her tearful texts. I didn't need to. I had already made my decision. A week later, Emma tried to contact me one last time, offering to meet and talk. But I ignored it. I didn't want to hear any more excuses, any more empty promises. She had shown her true colors, and I had no interest in playing the role of the fool anymore. I packed my things for good. Emma's life spiraled from there. She tried to repair the damage with her friends, her family, even the man she had betrayed me for. But nothing worked. She had already ruined everything. She lost her social circle, the respect she once commanded, and, most importantly, the trust that any relationship is built upon. People stopped calling. Her social media posts became a desperate attempt at filling the void she had created, but the followers she once had started to unfollow. The likes she used to get started to dwindle. People began to see the truth. They could see her for who she was, and they didn't want any part of it. I didn't seek revenge in the way she expected. I didn't need to. Her actions were punishment enough. The emptiness she now felt, the loneliness and regret, was her true consequence. As for me, I walked away with my dignity intact. I rebuilt my life slowly, piece by piece, knowing I deserved someone who valued me, someone who wouldn't mock me behind my back or disrespect me in front of others. And Emma? Well, I'm sure she learned one thing, the hard way. Karma always catches up. You can run from the consequences of your actions, but you can't outrun the truth. The final words of our marriage were simple. "You're not my own property." I guess she was right. She never was. But in the end, it wasn't about ownership. It was about respect, the kind she never gave me.